What's up, YouTube? Timmy's here. Here is my Throwback segment where I talk about the films that turns 10, 20, 30, and 40 this week. Alright, the films celebrating their 10th anniversary, we got not the first film, not the second one, but part 3. And of course, he has a completely set of skills, and that is Taken 3. Well, Taken 2 and 3 aren't as good as the first Taken. The first Taken is a lot of fun. I actually had a fun time with both the sequels. Like the third one definitely has some fun aspects to it. This time around you got Liam Neeson who once again plays ex-cover operative Brian Mills, who is actually pretty much framed for his wife's murder, and so of course the FBI and police force are on hot pursuit on him. His daughter once again is played by Maggie Grace, who is always amazing. Forrest Whitaker is the one who's hot on his trail. I had a fun time with Taken 3. Liam Neeson once again plays his part very well. It's once again entertaining. Like the Taken movies became a little more different than the first film. This time around, like instead of someone getting taken, he's just on the run and being framed. That's pretty much always a lot with these types of stories, to be honest. But hey, Liam Neeson still plays his part well. You know what? If they ever announce a Taken 4, I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind seeing another one, but I think that ship has sailed. And Liam Neeson has done a lot of Taken like stuff lately. With Nonstop, with obviously he's going to be in the upcoming Naked Gun reboot. Can't really see him in that. So yeah, we're going to be getting a lot of like we got tons of Liam Neeson Taken type stuff. Some good, lately not so good, but all right. Also turning 10 is Selma. Now, Selma is, of course, if you guys don't know, the biopic about Martin Luther King, and of course, it's the Civil Rights Act of 1964 that legally disagreed the South discrimination. And of course, you got Martin Luther King Jr., played by David Aiello, who, despite violent opposition, him and his followers press towards an epic march from Selma to Montgomery. And such a shame David Aiello did not get an Oscar nomination for this. I think it did got nominated for Best Picture and all, but it was directed by Ava DuVernay, who I think is always amazing. Right on time, outstanding. But this is actually a really terrific one. Of course, it actually did I believe it won Best Original Song though, which was that song "Glory" that Common and John Legend sung, which was a pretty good song. You also had some great cast members like Audrey Holland, Carmen Eljalago, Oprah Winfrey, Common, Tom Wilkinson, Niecy Nash Betts, Martin Sheen, Tessa Thompson, Cuba Gooding Jr. The list goes on and on. It's a really solid cast here. And Selma is a really excellent one. Really, Dave Aiello really embodied the role of MLK perfectly. It was very inspirational here. I guess you can't really fully call it a Martin Luther King biopic. It's more about his, you know, more about his like march and stuff like that. So I guess Chris Rock, by the way, is doing a biopic about MLK, which that could be cool to see. But so I don't know. I think this is a really good one. If you guys haven't seen Selma, I'll say give it a go. It's a really excellent one. All right, film turning 20 is Racing Stripes. Who remembers this one? Racing Stripes, of course, is the zebra film featuring the voice of Frankie Muniz. You had Hayden Panettiere, Mandy Moore, Michael Clark Duncan, Snoop Dogg, David Spade, Dustin Hoffman, Whoopi Goldberg. I mean, Jeff Foxworthy was in this. I mean, talk about interesting voice talents here. If you guys don't know much about the story, it tells the story of Stripes, a circus plain zebra who is accidentally abandoned in Kentucky and raised on a farm next to a racing track. And believing he is a racehorse, he dreams of training for and competing in races. And Racing Stripes is very adorable. I remember watching this back in the days. I used to have a fun time with it. I obviously around the 2000s and even 90s, we've had lots of talking animal live action movies. Whether it was like Babe or Doctor Dolittle and whatever. And Razor Stripes is another really good one. It's not as good as those I admit. It's not as heartfelt as those, but it is a really inspirational one. And you had a mini Hayden Panettiere in this. Oh, I think she was a teenager at the time when she did this movie, if I'm not mistaken. But and obviously Hayden Panettiere, you'll probably know her now as Kirby from the Scream movies. It's always cool when you see Hayden. Like I've always liked Hayden Panettiere, so. All right. Also turning 20 is White Noise, which is the horror movie starring Michael Keaton. Uh, and of course, it's more like an electric voice phenomena, where like a voice like sound, which some believe should be on the other side. I don't know. Watch this one too. It's not so good. Like around the 2000s, before he got his comeback role with Birdman, I mean, Michael Keaton had done some questionable like films. And White Noise was one of them. This wasn't all that scary. It was a really snore fest of a film. It's not so good. And again, I feel like Mikey Keaton, like in the 2000s, like he also did Herbie Fully Loaded, which hey, I like Herbie, but still, I feel like in the 2000s, like Mikey Keaton did not really have as much of a great career as he had in like the 80s or even as he has nowadays. So but White Noise is definitely one of his most questionable ones. All right. Also, now turning 30 this week, we got Houseguest. Who remembers Houseguest? Come on, starring Sinbad, the late great Phil Hartman, who, by the way, those both will also go on. I believe like 2 years. I think 2 years later, we'll go on to work together again and Jingle All the Way. If you guys don't know much about Houseguest, it's where like this fast talking con man, Kevin Franklin, played by Sinbad, who is in hold of his head, owes 50,000 to the mob, and they want to collect. On the run, he of course happens upon some upon a lawyer, Gary Young, played by Phil Hartman, and his family, who are pretty much waiting for an old friend. Of course, who he hasn't seen years, and so he convinces that he's the old friend and becomes the family's house guest here. And it's directed by Randall Miller. The chemistry between Sinbad and Phil Hartman is pretty fun. I haven't seen this thing in years, I admit, but I remember really enjoying it as a kid. I still think they were actually a little better in Jingle All the Way, even though they did not share a scene, like any scenes in Jingle All the Way. But man, they were. And Phil Hartman, by the way, I was a little young, like way too young when he. I mean, when he did like well, technically, I wasn't really around like in the '80s when he fully first started on SNL. But Phil Hartman, I was always sad when I first heard about that he passed away and all. And I've seen like roles of Phil Hartman, whether it's like on The Simpsons, Jingle All the Way. I've obviously seen his SNL days and stuff. The guy was a comic legend, and it's such a shame he gone way too soon. And his chemistry with Sinbad's good. If you guys have not watched House Guests, I'd say give it a go. It's a '90s it's not like one of the best comedies of all time, nothing like that, but it's a pretty fun one. All right, turning 40. We got the film Avenging Angel, which is a sequel to the 1984 shoot 'em up Angel the where like a vigilante returns to the streets to track down her guardian's killer. Not really too memorable there. It stars Betsy Russell, so there's that. Also turning 40 is Turf Turf, which is an '80s gem. Starring Robert Downey Jr. You had Kip Richards, uh, James Spader. If you guys don't know much about this, is where the new guy in LA high school does some sing and fights a hotshot and a disco dancer. I feel like everyone, because of how popular he is as Tony Stark and everything like that, people always keep forgetting that Robert De Niro had a major career in the '80s. Like that was, of course, around his breakthrough era. Remember he appeared in stuff like oh yeah, Back to School with Ronnie Dangerfield. He also uh, what are some of his '80s stuff. He did another one with James Spader. '80s movies. Zero something. Pickup Artist. Johnny Be Good. Let's see what else. Chances Are. Oh, Less Than Zero. That's the film I was thinking of. And of course, by the way, Robert Downey Jr. and James Spader will years later reunite once again in the MCU. Remember, James Spader voiced Ultron, which he is set to come back for. So, hey, but Turf, by the way, it's not like one of the best '80s teen movies of all time. Like, it's nowhere near as good as, let's say, The Breakfast Club or 16 Candles or Ferris Bueller or anything. But it's a pretty fun one. So if you guys haven't seen it, I say give that one a go. Oh, and also turning 40, we got Waking the Edge, where L.A. cabbie and number runners played by Robert Forster helps a widow gain revenge on a killer and his gang. Not really too memorable there. The one that's more memorable is probably Turf, but anyway. Let me let you guys. Which of these films stand out to you the most? To me, the 10-year one is going to Selma. I like Taken 3, but Selma was just so good. The 20-year one is going to Racer Stripes. 30-year one is Houseguest, since, well, that's the only one there. And the 40-year one is Turf. Anyway, drop comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell for notification. This is Simon.